Hey, friends and family, it's me, Daniel, and I'm excited to jump back into the cryptoverse, as our friend Ben calls it. This is my seventh video on this already, believe it or not. And today I just want to talk about what's going on currently. It's a bloodbath, as they say, in the markets, not just in the digital asset space, but in equities, stock market. And then I want to talk about what is a Bitcoin pleb. Should say a pleb, not a peb. Okay, first major typo. So let's jump into that. The disclaimer I like to give out there is that I'm definitely not a financial advisor. So keep doing your own research, your own learning. It's a lot of fun, at least if you're a freak like me. The pizza was good. That's all I got to say about that. Well, so what's going on now in the markets? It's kind of an exciting time, in my opinion, because things are so bad that you really can learn a lot, and you can figure out who's real and who's not, what's real out there in terms of products and blockchains, organizations. Right now, the main thing is that the fear and greed index is at a terrible place. It has been for weeks. We've never really seen this bad of a wipeout in certain ways ever. In fact, the downturn that we're experiencing now, most people don't really know how bad it is, but it's really quite scary with inflation as high as it is. So people are backing out of anything that feels risky. And of course, at this stage in its evolution, Bitcoin is seen as a risk on asset. So tons of fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there. We're experiencing, once again, one of the biggest downturns in the history. Europe's in trouble with recession and the war over in Ukraine. Inflation's gone bonkers. And then the interest rates, the Fed is tightening big time. And so some are saying we could be out of this soon. Others are saying this is just the beginning of, at least a year of pain. Who knows? We just know it's bad right now. So everything's down and digital assets have been hammered. I love that verb hammered because it's just, one smash after another, like with a hammer on a nail. And so here's what I'm thinking, and here's what I want to convey. Don't forget the burning building theory. When everyone else is running out, we're like this little girl from this famous photograph. She's not an evil little girl, by the way. I don't think I read the whole article, but this was just happened to be the way the photo played out. But it definitely looks kind of sketchy. But that's when we want to be interested is when everyone else is sketched out. When they're turning around and running away from the burning building, we're like the firefighters. We're running in. We're purchasing assets when they're low. And so I'll talk a little bit more about what I've been doing lately in terms of my own investments. So here we see it says Bitcoin fell as of Friday to about 28,700. I think today it was about the same. And a lot of this has to do with the fallout from the Terra USD algorithmic stablecoin that crashed, depegged. It's a fancy way of saying that one of the big digital assets that was rising up in strength and that was really interesting to me because Do Kwon, the founder of this chain, was purchasing billions of dollars of Bitcoin to try to back up the Terra UST, the Terra stablecoin, and it crashed. And along with the Federal Reserve monetary tightening, these factors have been brutal. So Terra Luna's collapse is what we would consider to be a black swan event, a majorly negative thing for the space, for the business, and it was unexpected. So it's actually, I believe, has some good in it because we know the rule that 95%, probably more like 99% of cryptocurrencies, so to speak, are not good. They're not going to last. So we all want, we being the Bitcoiners, to see Bitcoin decouple from the stock market. And it has, but not necessarily in the way that we would want it to. Lately, we've seen a little recovery the last couple of days from in the stock market, but Bitcoin hasn't experienced that. So it is just a matter of time. And this decoupling could be a great thing because even though it's kind of going the wrong direction, it could be very positive. So here we see that altcoins are getting smashed. So anything that's not Bitcoin, you can also sort of lump Ethereum in with Bitcoin. They're the two more stabilized, larger market caps. They haven't been hurt as badly as everything else, which has gone down 60, 80, in some cases more than 90% for some of the smaller chains and their tokens. So Bitcoin dominance is going back up. That just simply means that most of the market share in cryptocurrency is leaning towards Bitcoin. And so, as it says here, if anything, the fact that Bitcoin's been trading sideways in that range is actually a good thing, because the longer it stabilizes, the higher the odds that it's going to not just reach upside momentum again, but it's going to be able to stabilize at a higher price. So yeah, alts are getting wrecked. That 95% plus rule, 95% of crypto is bogus. My personal altcoin portfolio is down big time, 70% or more. And I'm not worried about it very much, because it's just a waiting game for me. It's a waiting game for anyone unless you bought junk. And junk, in my estimation, are the highly speculative assets that have very poor metrics. When people don't do their homework, they just want to make quick money, they get burned. So sure, I feel sorry for honest people that were trying to make money, but where there's big risks, there's big rewards and big chance of losing your shorts. So right now, I also think it's important to point out that money is always being made. It's like I learned talking with people who are real estate investors. Whether the market's going up or down, you can be making money. And it's true in any of the investment game. So Sweet Soul, I don't know much about this. It's not Solana. It's built on the Solana blockchain. I personally own and invest in Solana. And this Sweet Soul is some kind of token built on the blockchain. I don't know anything about it except for the fact that it went up 475%. My opinion on things like this is, wow, if somehow I had magically known, or somebody told me, I would have bought it and made 4 times my money, and I would quickly get out, because these things always go crashing back down. So this isn't the crypto I'm interested in. This isn't the crypto you're looking for, is what Obi-Wan would say. So what's an investor to do? I don't really know. I can't tell you, because I don't give financial advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm buying Bitcoin. I've also bought some alts lately, but not very much. Solana pretty much is it. And then I bought some Flow. It's an interesting layer 1 chain. I'm curious to continue following them. I think it has a lot of potential upside. I also moved my Bitcoin to a cold storage wallet, so it's off the exchanges. And although I have some of my altcoins still on the exchange, they're there until I can figure out what I want to do, until the price rebounds. I also have some Ethereum staked on Coinbase. So may not have done that in retrospect just because I want that freedom, but I'm also not worried about it. I believe in Ethereum for the very long run. And so I'm also being patient and staying long. I'm looking at 2030 as the main goal, or later, but 2025 will be interesting. And then, of course, researching and learning, because when does that ever stop? It doesn't, at least not for some of us. And here's why, for me, I'm feeling good. The long-term price prediction I believe in is Bitcoin to $1 million by or around 2030. Even the more bearish scenarios look like over $500,000 a coin. So that's not a bad investment, no matter how you crack it. So if you want to know more, if I were you and I were interested in starting to really put some money behind in Bitcoin, I would want to do my own research. And James over at Invest Answers on his YouTube channel just put out a great video titled 2030 Price Predictions, Bitcoin versus Tesla. I liked it. He looks at a kind of does a meta analysis of a ton of different models or statistical simulations looking at Bitcoin's price prediction. And it appears that Bitcoin and Tesla are both great investments, at least potentially. So why does this all matter? Is it just that people like me want to make money? No, don't lose track of the why. For me, these challenges of banks, bias, politicians, greed, lack of trust, bad actors, crime, centralization, lack of free speech, lack of self-sovereignty, that's what I truly believe in. That's what's interesting. And the Bitcoin network has the potential, because of what it is. It's not, you can't ban it, you can't break it, you can't get rid of it. You can sure try. In fact, it's funny. I have to mention in China, they banned Bitcoin and therefore they banned Bitcoin mining. And Bitcoin is still the second biggest country for Bitcoin mining. So go figure. But this is why Bitcoin's fascinating. And it takes us to our next big topic here. So, what is a plebeian in Rome? The term plebeian referred to all free Roman citizens who were not members of the patrician, senatorial, or equestrian classes. In other words, the plebeians were average working citizens of Rome, the farmers, bakers, builders, craftsmen, nurses, teachers, whatever, who worked hard to support their families and pay their taxes. So we're plebs. What is a pleb? Just defined it. If we go to another source, it means belonging or pertaining to the common people, relating to the Roman plebs, or some people say plebes. Either way, I've noticed is, in fact, we see at the top plebeian or plebeian. I don't know how much of a difference that is. But anyway, sorry, I'm a word nerd. I'll go crazy on that. So jumping ahead, here's one from Google, an ordinary person, especially one from the lower social classes. So I know that my family and I are very blessed, and we're very grateful for so much that we have. I know that that a lot of us who are middle class Americans have much more than our average brother and sister across the planet, the average people. So there's a Bitcoin pleb, and this is, or plebes, depending on you'd say tomato. These are the individual noids in the Bitcoin community, representing a decentralized force of sovereignty-minded people. The dominance of big tech is coming to a close, so long as we can ensure that it doesn't enslave us all first. There's that. So you go to the Bitcoin conference, you might see a sign like this one because we're plebs. We see each other, regardless of how much money we currently may or may not have, as we're standing up against the man. Okay, they just say that. So the pleb staked Bitcoin throughout the downtrend. So the downtrend, of course, is still happening, but this was written a while back, and it just mentions the fact that the morale of the Bitcoin team seemed low over the last few months. That and a flat market didn't stop the plebs from constantly stacking sats. The following chart shows that the Bitcoin addresses that hold between 0.1 and 1.0 Bitcoin kept acquiring Bitcoin through the whole period. I'm one of those people. What does that mean? And why is it a sign of something phenomenal and never before seen? Well, that's what we're here to explore. Will Clemente, love this guy, young man, relatively young man, doing crazy TA out there, especially focused on Bitcoin. He says the DCA army is relentless. Plebs keep stacking no matter what. And we zoom in on that particular chart. I think it's right up here. We see that on the Bitcoin balance sheet, those that hold between 0.1 and 1 Bitcoin, that number has gone up huge. And that's how Bitcoin is going to transform the world. Going back here a little bit, it says the self-proclaimed plebs or plebes are Bitcoin's white blood cells, its defense mechanism. They're Bitcoin maximalists of the most extreme order that defend Bitcoin and attack all of its enemies with rhetoric and verbal poison. The name is inspired by the Roman plebeians, and in the introduction of an article about the original ones, Bitcoin magazine says, in this memo I look into the original plebs, the plebeian class of ancient Rome. The Bitcoin plebs are the solid core of the community, and the Bitcoin rabbit hole has encouraged all of us to read history with fresh eyes. There are many different labels, but I will call this subspecies Bitcoin plebs. This is a species, a specific type of Bitcoin, which is even less common. It represents something like special forces in the battle. They're rude and uncompromising people who stand in the first line of defense. I don't know if I belong to that extreme little corner. However, it's tempting when you realize, or when you begin to really realize what this means for society in the long run. It seems like a massive evolutionary step forward socially. So DCA, or dollars cost averaging, what is it? To save time and effort on both of our sakes. For both of our sakes, it's simply the fact that you can spend $100 or $20 a month buying Bitcoin, which seems like, why even bother investing that little? Well, the idea here is that in 10, 20 years, especially 20 years from now, you'll be seen as a hero potentially for having had the foresight to buy Satoshis or fractionalize Bitcoin when it was as cheap as it is now. So that's the theory or the thesis. So what is an inelastic demand for a product? It's the idea defined as where change in price does not significantly impact demand for the product. Should demand for a good or service be static when its price or other factor changes, it is said to be inelastic. In other words, when the price changes or consumers' income change, they will not change their buying habits. Kind of like gasoline, diapers, for some of us, Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what's happening with price, the demand is there. So once again, this is the chart showing that the folks who are the small, the minnows out there, not the whales, they are taking more control of the Bitcoin network. And ultimately, that's what we need. So that's why I say, even though I don't give financial advice, I'm surprised more people aren't seeing this and getting their little chunk at least. Right now, for $3,000, you can buy about zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, and that'll put you in the top, I think, 1% of Bitcoin holders forever into the future. So something to think about. Bitcoin isn't going away. There's actually an image that shows the year 2022 up on the little tombstone. But Bitcoin has apparently died first in 2011, and then 2013, 14, 15, 17, and then in 18 they said it again. And now some people are saying, yeah, it's crypto's whack, it's going away. Oh, okay. Just quick recap as we come to a close here. My portfolio is pretty much all Bitcoin with some Ethereum, and then I have much smaller holdings in Solana, and then down the line there Polygon, Polkadot, Engine Coin, Flow. But I'm something like 70% Bitcoin, Ethereum, and that the Bitcoin percentage is rising because my faith in Bitcoin is very high. My faith, so to speak, in these other blockchains is not nearly as higher conviction. I do think Ethereum and Solana are great investments, at least for me. And they're things that I would consider if I were looking into the space for the first time. But Bitcoin is the king. And that's it on that one. So once again, am I buying crypto right now? Heck yes. I think that's going to be a slide I always have up, because whether the market's going up, down, or sideways, there's something worth looking at or investing in. And Bitcoin under 50 grand, Bitcoin under 40 grand, Bitcoin under 30 grand, amazing. An amazing deal in my opinion. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys are doing well out there. Let me know if you're a plebe, how do you pronounce that? Plebeian, I think, is the safest way for me. It's a word I'm familiar with and had heard before, but it wasn't until I heard it in the context of Bitcoin that I really started delving into it. So, all right, take care, and I will see you next time.